In Dubai, a city where glass spires slice the sky and fortune drips from every marble corridor, the grandest wedding of 2020 shimmered for 14 hours straight. But the marriage itself? It lasted just 47 minutes. By dawn, the bride lay dead, the groom had disappeared, and a $500,000 celebration had transformed into the most harrowing crime scene the city had ever seen. At first glance, it seemed like a sudden explosion of rage. A crime of passion. But hidden beneath the silk and gold was a truth so much darker. This wasn't an impulsive act, it was a trap, calculated 2 years in advance. Every guest, every vow, every smile placed exactly where the architect of this nightmare intended. Some stories rattle your faith in love, honor, and tradition until everything you thought was solid feels fragile. This is one of those stories, a tale of obsession masked as duty, deception parading as devotion, and a tragedy that forced Dubai to confront the shadows behind its glittering facade. What happens when a predator finds resistance? When vows become weapons, and trust itself is a carefully sharpened blade. But before we unravel the storm, tell us, where are you watching from? Maybe you're sipping coffee in Dubai, scrolling late at night in New York, or unwinding in Paris. Drop your location in the comments, and let's see how far this story travels. Buckle up for 23 minutes that will leave you questioning love, loyalty, and the cost of perfection. Tap that like button, pour yourself a drink, and let's step into the nightmare together. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell, you'll want to know what's coming next. Ahmed Al-Mansouri was born into wealth, the eldest son of a family that had carved its name into Dubai's old money elite. Raised in a sprawling villa in Jumeirah, he was destined, from his earliest days, for power and respect. His father, Khaled, had begun with a modest spice stall in Dar es Souks but transformed it into a real estate empire stretching across the UAE. His word carried weight in business circles, and his reputation was wrapped tightly around notions of honor and tradition. His mother, Noor, embodied elegance at every charity event and iftar table. But beneath her radiant smile, she hid a dependency on prescription pills, a secret Ahmed discovered as a child and vowed never to reveal. By his mid-20s, Ahmed had grown his inheritance into his own fortune, developing glittering high-rises that reshaped the Dubai skyline. To the world, he was a role model, courteous, devout, generous, and deeply loyal to Emirati values. He prayed daily, fasted during Ramadan, and donated to charity with fanfare. His peers saw the perfect gentleman, but behind the biometric locks of his study, Ahmed nursed a darkness that would chill the blood. For 3 years, he carried out what he called purity investigations, targeting educated, independent women he believed betrayed traditional ideals. His safe didn't hold business documents, it held journals detailing his crusade, filled with names, routines, vulnerabilities. He considered himself a guardian of virtue. In reality, he was destroying lives. His pattern was clinical. First, he deployed private investigators to trail his chosen target, gathering dossiers of movements and friends. Then came the fake identities, paid actors, fabricated online personas, infiltrating social circles. He mapped his victims' fears, insecurities, and secrets. Once enough was collected, he orchestrated their humiliation with surgical precision, leaked texts, old photographs, whispered rumors, until careers and reputations crumbled. Sarah Khaled, a young teacher, was branded impure and publicly disgraced. Fatima Al-Najjar, a businesswoman, was driven out of Dubai after her past surfaced online. Noor Abbas, a journalist, was pushed to attempt suicide after losing everything. Ahmed convinced himself he was cleansing society. But in truth, he was playing God, deciding who was worthy and who deserved ruin. Then came Layla Hassan, the woman who would turn the hunter into prey. Layla embodied a new generation of Emirati success. Fluent in 4 languages, educated in London, and sharp in business, she carried both tradition and ambition with grace. Her beauty, paired with her confidence, made her a fixture at Dubai's most exclusive gatherings. To strangers, she was untouchable. But beneath her composed smile, she carried a wound, a love lost in London. Amir Khan, her university sweetheart, had returned home for an arranged marriage, leaving Layla heartbroken. She buried that pain under her work, excelling at her father's consultancy firm. Then the messages started. Anonymous notes. Photos of her and Amir. Intimate texts from years past. Each accompanied by the ominous phrase, "I know your true face." At first, she thought it was Amir himself, or perhaps a cruel prank. But the surveillance became too exact, too invasive. Whoever was behind it knew her coffee stops, her meetings, her wardrobe. She was being watched. Her training in risk management sharpened her instincts. Tracing digital footprints, she found the source, Ahmed al-Mansuri. And behind him, a trail of women just like her, ruined. Sarah, Fatima, Noor. Their pain ignited her resolve. She contacted each of them, their testimonies fueling her fight. Then she hired Zainab Rashid, a former cybersecurity expert, to map Ahmed's network. Together, they unearthed burner accounts, paid spies, and carefully orchestrated campaigns of destruction. When Ahmed's family approached with a marriage proposal, the pieces snapped into place. This wasn't about love, it was his grand finale. He wanted to marry her, then unveil her past in front of Dubai's elite. But Layla had no intention of running. She was going to play his game and beat him at it. She began recording their conversations, storing every piece of evidence. Zainab hacked his accounts, collecting the files he had hidden. Layla accepted the proposal, but she entered it with a mission to expose him from within. Either family cared about their children's happiness. Omar Hassan, Layla's father, was drowning in corruption scandals, debts hidden beneath excuses of medical bills. Khalid al-Mansuri's fortune was equally tainted by forged deeds and laundered funds. The marriage was a lifeline, a business transaction wrapped in silk and gold. The bride and groom were pawns in their father's desperate survival. But Ahmed and Layla were locked in their own war, one that would end in blood. The wedding at the Burj Al Arab was a spectacle. 500 guests, golden chandeliers, drums echoing like thunder. Ahmed smiled flawlessly, the image of grace, while Layla hid trembling hands beneath a gown embedded with a recording device. To outsiders, it was the perfect union. To Layla, it was the battleground. Hours later, inside the presidential suite, the facade shattered. Ahmed pulled out his folder, photos, texts, 2 years of surveillance. "You thought you could deceive me," he sneered. "Dubai will know your shame." But Layla smiled. She revealed her own folder, thicker than his, filled with evidence of his crimes, testimonies from his victims, and recordings of his threats. "By dawn," she said calmly, "they'll know you're the monster." For the first time, Ahmed faltered. His carefully crafted dominance crumbled. The predator had been cornered. But rage replaced fear. In a violent flash, he lunged at her. The struggle was brutal but brief. Crystals shattered, voices echoed, and when silence fell, Layla lay lifeless. Her recorder still captured every word. Ahmed fled into the desert, leaving behind evidence scattered across the suite. By morning, police uncovered both sets of files, the hunter and the hunted, exposing 2 years of obsession. Victims stepped forward. Informants confessed. Families' empires collapsed under corruption charges. Dubai's facade cracked wide open. Ahmed was found days later, delirious in the desert, clutching a manifesto about cleansing society. His trial riveted the world. Prosecutors revealed his methods, his victims' ruined lives, and his twisted belief system. The defense tried to blame cultural pressures, but the judge saw through it. Ahmed wasn't a martyr to tradition. He was a predator who weaponized it. The verdict: guilty of first-degree murder, stalking, and conspiracy. Life in prison without parole. Layla's death sparked a reckoning. New laws criminalized stalking with harsher sentences. Social media platforms tightened controls on burner accounts. Activists launched campaigns for women's safety. And her younger sister, Aisha, created the Layla Hassan Foundation, giving survivors a platform to speak. Their vigils lighting up the UAE with thousands demanding change. Her story became a warning that beneath gold and glitter, monsters hide in plain sight. That love can be weaponized. That perfection can mask cruelty. So let me ask you, what would you have done in Layla's place? Would you fight like her, or flee? Was Ahmed a product of warped values, or pure evil on his own? Tell us in the comments, we read them all. Smash that like button, share this story, and subscribe for more true echoes of crime. Ring the bell, because the next case might be even darker. Stay curious. Stay safe. And never forget, sometimes the deadliest traps are disguised as love.